This is Brother Jack coming to you live today from the heart of Dixie. Yes, there is trouble in the land, and we're in a church meeting tonight. This is a very important night. We're going to cover some things that after you've been saved, this might be one of the most important messages you ever heard, because we're going to tell you how to prepare for the days ahead. I've got a list of things. If you just want to be like they were in the days of Noah, you won't want to write down nothing, because in the days of Noah, there was a spirit, and that spirit was the same spirit they have today. There's always times when everybody's eating, drinking, and marrying, and having a good time. I mean, it's always been that way. But one thing is, they had a spirit of unbelief. They had a spirit of unbelief. Now this spirit, they had it when Noah went into the ark. You know, he preached to them for 120 years and told them a lot of the things, some things I'm going to tell you tonight. They didn't pay any attention to him, didn't pay no mind at all. But now listen, when the floods came, the people were sick on their stomachs. They thought, my God, I am going to die, and they did, because they wouldn't listen. I'm going to give you more information tonight, and you'll probably get in your entire life put together, most likely. And I'm going to show you some things I brought. I'm going to tell you how to survive. You can write me Brother Jack or Jack Keeler, Keeler. It'll be P.O. Box 28, Boaz, B-O-A-Z, Alabama, 35957. That's Jack Keeler or Brother Jack's Ministry, P.O. Box 28, Boaz, B-O-A-Z, Alabama, 35957. That's all I got to say about that. So September the 13th will be the beginning of the Jewish Jubilee. And that'll be on, like I said, on the September the 13th. And then on the 28th will be the last blood moon. And, you know, on these things for years back, it has affected the stock market, so we don't know what's going to happen. I heard last night, I was listening to a lot of information on David Wilkerson. He told about just like the days that we're living in, and he said he saw, like in New York, 1,000 fires. Listen, when you don't have anything to eat, you're desperate, and you'll do anything. Your neighbor will come a member of the ISIS family. I got a man who lives across the street from me, sort of. He told me, I told him, I said, listen, I was trying to help him a little bit. He said, I ain't worried about it, so I'm going to kill me a hog. Well, he said, they got plenty of them down in Texas and through there. I said, fella, you live in North Alabama. I mean, how stupid can you really get? But he said, I'm going to just kill me a hog. That'll go get me by. Well, if it's summertime, it's going to last him for 2 days, and I don't know what he's going to do for 3.5 years. So most people you can't even help. You can't help them at all. I know the lady sitting there, she talked about a dream that she had about the president and everything. I don't have too many dreams and things. This is before the president was even elected. It was just before he was elected. I had this dream that the president would not finish his term. I wasn't thinking at all of our president, because I knew that he was not going to be president, so he wasn't even in my thoughts. So it turned out to be different, and I know why it was different. I can tell you why. It's God's time. You cannot turn God's timetable around. There's a time that they'll be the last person to be saved. God knows that name. When it is, it's over with, so you can't turn God's timetable around. Now, the lady was talking about something happened to her president and things like that. The dream that I had, and this was before the election, they were all running. I just simply had a dream the president of the United States was not going to finish his term. Let's see here. Okay, anyhow, that he wouldn't finish his term in office, and John McCain was running, and Sarah Palin was vice president. I thought, well, he's going to get in, and he'll get sick, and she's going to take over. Man, we got a Pentecostal president. Lo ho ho, that didn't happen. But so I just had the dream that he would not finish his term. So I don't know. We'll see. If he does. I mean, I'm not saying for sure because God didn't knock on my door and tell me. Dreams are dreams. I had another dream about 40-something years ago. This dream was that I was in Gunnersville Lake. And when you go down the mountain here, the first body of water on the left there, I saw that in a dream. And I saw me and a friend of mine, and we were standing out in the lake, and the water was, there wasn't no water there. And we were standing there, and we didn't see any water. We was going to walk around and find some fish and stuff and sell it and make us some money. Well, I looked over there, and lo and behold, there was a wall of water come rushing like a mighty wind. Oh, my God, it scared me. I was closer to the bank than my brother was, and I hollered at him. I said, "Run for your life." So I got to the bank, just barely got to the bank, and my friend didn't. But it washed him to the back. I don't know whether he got out or not. It didn't mean he was a bad person. It just mean what it meant is that when judgment comes, it's going to come all of a sudden. It's going to come right now. Nobody is going to know what's coming. It's going to come in, I believe, in a second, and people say, "Oh my God." But I believe that we're pretty close to that time now. And I was going to go in that. The Holy Spirit said to do this. He said, "What's last? What you was going to teach on first tonight?" He said, "You teach it last." And what you're going to teach on last, he said, teach on it first. You know, there's some scriptures like the first should be last, and last shall be first. And we're going to work on that sort of a principle tonight. So we're going to talk about survival. What I'm going to do, I got a couple of pages to read, but let me just show you some things to start with, and I'll just give you a little bit of idea what we can do. Let's say you was in trouble. Okay. Don't forget your baby maces. Just forget them. Get you a bear mace. That's a big boy. You get them right here down here at the gun shop around a tallow there, about $40. This here will knock off 15, 20 people. This puts out a fog, baby, and it puts it out there. Brother Ron Charles, he was here. He called me and talked to me not too long ago about some things I was trying to help him. And I talked to him several times about things. The Lord spoke to me to give him a mace. Well, it took me a while to save up $40 or whatever, but I give it to him, and he took it with him. I told him how to carry it with him. I told him to put it in a bag and put it under the plane and carry it with you. And when you get off the plane, take it off your bag. I said, "Has it helped you any?" He said, "I was in three different times." He said, "I was attacked 3 times." He said, "Your bear mace got rid of all of them, every time." So I sent word to him that he needs to maybe get him a new mace, because after a while these things run down. But this thing here will reach way on back, and it's not a baby thing. It's so that's just something that you could get. People may not have a lot of money. When times get rough, you know, you may have to defend yourself and your family. I mean, that's up to you whether you just want to, you know. Let's say your wife's in there, and you got 10, 15 men there, and they're going to come in there and kill you and rape your wife and kill her and steal your food. I mean, if that's all right, well, you just go ahead and do that. But it ain't all right with me. It ain't all right with most people. And if you want to just spend about $240, $50 to protect you and your family, get you a little, I went down here, and same little gun shop down here in Tala, and $240, $50. Got me one of them little short 12 gauges. It's you put 5 or 6 loads in it, and you buy a buckshot. You don't get you no bird shot unless you want to shoot a bird. But you can put 5 or 6 in there, brother. And I'll tell you one thing, buckshot, and one of them things, there's probably 6, 7, 8, 10 little pieces in there, big as your little finger. And you can stand right here, brother, and you can wipe them out. You can move just that far every time you shoot and knock down 7, 8, 10 people. You get rid of people in a hurry with a 12-gauge pump, shotgun, or any kind of a shotgun, as long as you got buckshot in it. So that just give you a little bit of an idea there. Let's say you were sick, or you wanted to keep from getting sick. God said in the Bible there'll be epidemics and things that will come in the land. So if you want to keep from getting sick, you know, you put you on, let's say there's thousands of people dying. That's happened here in America. Get you some gloves and little laceless gloves, a box, and throw them away. This here is called N95. It's not just a regular mask. It's called N95. Now, that N95 means it takes care of 95% of every disease on planet Earth. You can't get through this one, okay? Now, they sell these, and you can maybe, I don't know if you can get them at Walmart, get online and get them, but it's called an N95, but you can also get an N100. Now, if you want to take care of the other 5%, we'll talk about it a little bit, but it's called thieves' oil. It come a little thing like that. You can go down here to Apple a Day, probably get it. Thieves' oil was back when they broke in the pyramids and different graves and they killed people or robbed the people that were just been buried. They had diseases, and keep them from diseases. They found how it's 3 oils they mix together, and it's called a thief, like thieves' oil. You can get them right downtown. You get your little cotton ball and put your 2 or 3 drops in there, and throw it in this thing and put it on. Man, you get on the airplane, people get sick. You breathe in the same everybody's air coming right back at you. Okay. So if you had one of these here on, you might look stupid. But if you had one of those on, and if you had get your little cotton ball and get you some thieves on, put 2 or 3 drops and put in there, it's not going to bother you, you see. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can buy out there. This is a lavender oil. You get these health food store. You rub this on your feet at night. Rub it on your feet, bottom of your feet. Makes you go to sleep. They do this in nursing homes, some of them. They put a drop on a pill or something like that. Helps the people to sleep, see. It's called lavender oil. This is peppermint oil. Now, if you got an upset stomach and you got some real problems, all you do is throw 2 or 3 drops here and a little bit of glass of water and drink it. In just a few minutes, your stomach's feeling great, brother. You can rub it. You don't get it near your eyes, but you can put it on a spot. You got a headache and make your headache go away, things like that. I got some clothes oil, and you take this clothes oil. It's not real expensive. Some of it is. But clothes oil, if you have any real problems, you can put it on. This will kill pain. Of course, I got stuff for shots and all kind of stuff. But this here will kill pain. Put it on your tooth, your gum, your tooth quit hurting. Let's see. There's a tea tree oil. Now this is a neat little thing to have. This here would keep you from dying if you get snake bit. Carry your little kit, have you a little Band-Aid or something and some little cotton ball and put some of that on there. Put it on a snake bite and it'll pull it out. You see, it'll pull the poison out, keep you from dying. A friend of mine in one of our preppers clubs, his daughter got bit somewhere around the eye or something, and he put some of that on it and put it there, and they went to the doctor, but she was all right, and he said, well, you've done a great thing by doing that. You can go to the health food store. This here is called a book on essential oils, and that's what I've just showed you. If you know how to use oils, a lot of times you won't have to go to a doctor. If you don't have a doctor, you can use oils to do certain things with. So you need a book. You need to educate yourself, and you can probably get that at Apple a Day or somewhere. It's called Essential Oils, and it tells a lot. There's a lot to learn, and I've studied this stuff for 20, 25, 30 years, so I know something about it, but I don't know near everything. We had a lady, and she's a doctor, and she's retired, and I've been going to school for 2 years to learn how to do different things and just have regular medical classes. Well, this is what I learned in 2 years. You do not want me to be your family physician, period. I guarantee it. But now I can give you a shot. I can sew you up and take stitches out. I mean, there's a few things that I can do that most people can't do. But you have to learn things. You got to put time into doing things and learning things. Right here, I won't take it out, but this is come out of a corn silk. You can take a little bit of it in your hand and just a good little wad and make you some hot tea out of it. If you got kidney trouble, this will straighten up your kidneys. I read an article on a man, old doctor here in Gadsden, Alabama. I forget his name, but he put this fella on this here. He said it saved his life. He had bad bad kidney trouble, and he just drank tea. You need a bunch of it. Like my brother-in-law used to get a wad of it and put on it. Make you some tea. And there's a thing, I wish I'd have got it. It's called rat vein. And you find them anywhere there's a lot of pine trees, and they'll be stick up about that tall. There'll be a little green plant, and they'll have little white veins running across. It's called it rat vein. You use them for maybe about a week or 10 days. That's all you want to use that. For a kidney problem, they say just about take care of your problems. I mean, these are things that you need to know. I got Darrell wasn't here. Darrell Patton, he's probably the best herbist in the world. I mean, he takes people. He lives here in Gadsden, retired school teacher. I've been with him off and on for 25 years or so, and we go to the woods and things. He takes people in the swamps, in Okie Swamp, and just takes a knife and shows you how to survive. He takes people in the desert, and this book is out of print. But if you get on the internet, it's Mountain Medicine by Darrell Patton, Darryl Patton. It's out of print, and this book is selling today on what you call that you get on. Yeah, and it's selling anywhere from $25 to around $1,000 for a book today, because it's out of print, and it'll be next year. I talked with Darrell yesterday. As a matter of fact, my name's in here. I helped him on the book. Now Darrell didn't have to have anybody tell him how to herbs. He knows everything about everything and about everything. But I helped him in there, so he put my name in there. Now, many years ago, I put a book together, and my wife actually done this. I don't know if anybody heard of Tommy Bass or not. It's called Life and Legend of Tommy Bass, Mountain Man, Herb Doctor, and Christian Gentleman of Shinbone Ridge by Jack Keeler. Now, in here, we just told his life story. You can buy these for a few dollars down at Apple a Day. And in the back, it's got a number of things that Tommy, herbs he liked to do. And I put 3 different ways you can tell what to do about different, problems that you have. So these are real simple. But this is just a fun book. You need to buy a good book on herbs, edible plants and herbs. I mean, if you know it a little bit, it'd save your life. Everybody knows what a cattail looks like. Most people do. Now, if you know something about a cattail, not in the wintertime you can't use them because they get too fibrous. But during the year, spring and summer, you can take the root out of there. It's a big old potato. You can cook it up and make your mashed potatoes, throw a little something in there. You can slice it and fry it like potatoes. You can grind it up and make flour out of it. Just before it gets ready, you can watch it. There'll be looks like corn on the cob. I've heard people say they take it and boil it for corn on the cob, but before that, it'll have a lot of flour in it. And you just take it and put it over a sack and just shake it, and you make these fine pancakes with that. Fine pancakes. This here, I stopped today. You wouldn't recognize that. These are elderberries. But in the first part of the year, they're just white. Just white. Big old plant. You can see them easy. You can't see them when they get this color. But you can take and put just a little bit of flour on it stuff and fry it. They said, Darrell told me it tastes just like chicken. Or fish, rather. I'm sorry if you like fish. If you don't like it, you can eat it anyhow. I mean, it'll hip you. Now, these elderberries that I showed you, there'll probably be a virus. A lot of viruses around, and a lot of them kill people. We've had viruses that killed hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the earth. Elderberries. Now, you ain't going to like this part of it, but it's okay. It's all right for me. If you don't like it, don't do it. And I bought some. You can get online and buy elderberries. I take a half a pound, and I get me a half a gallon of vodka 100 proof. You need 100 proof. And, you're like, well, but what I'm saying about this is a tablespoonful. You take a tablespoon, just like cough syrup. But it can keep you from getting sick and dying if there's an epidemic going around. So we wasn't drinking vodka. We're drinking. When you put elderberries in there, it altogether different. Turns red, and I mean it's got another taste. It don't taste like alcohol, but you only would want to use a tablespoon 2 or 3 times a day, and that will keep off from catching flus and stuff. You take more of it if you have it. There's a lot of things like that. Now, this here is a torpedo stove. Sometimes you call it a rocket stove. Now, if anybody's interested, I got the phone number right here. And I give it to you. Man up on Grant Mountain makes them. And what this will do for you is you can cook on it. And all you need is a switch. A little switch come off a little limb, just a switch. You break it up. That's all you do. Put it on a piece of paper and stick it in there. That's all you got to do, buddy. Then get you a couple of these little pine cones, drop it down in there. Man, you set your big old pot there and just cook up a storm. I mean, a switch, cook your whole meal. You might not have no electricity, you might not have no gas, but if you got $89, you can own one of these. And I got the man's number. You can buy these things a little cheaper. My wife found some for $40-something. But the thing about it is, these here are got double walls to them, and they got insulation in them. And like I say, you just put a little piece of paper, a little switch or something, and they get it started, drop that down here, put your skillet up here, and you just heat up a storm. Maybe nobody else have something to eat, but you'd have something to eat. This here's yellow root. And I know y'all know about yellow roots. Some of you do. But you can buy them for like about $2, $2.50 down at health food store. I've had 2 people to tell me, let me tell y'all, if you drink this, you got to be a man. I mean, a real man. If you're a woman, you got to be a real man. Because this stuff is better than quinine. I mean, it'll turn you inside out. But I drink it all the time. It don't bother me. I mean, you just put it, you can put this here in maybe a gallon, cook it about 30 minutes real slow. You strain it with a strainer. Put it in there in the refrigerator. If you got refrigeration, get it cold. Tastes better cold. And you just, you can drink you just a little teacup full 2 or 3 times a day. It says a tablespoon, but I can forget that. 2 or 3 tablespoons. 2 of them, ladies, said their husbands had bleeding ulcers. Getting ready to die, I reckon. And they got on this yellow root, and both of them told me the same story. Said 20 years had passed. Said their husband ain't even had no problem at all. That's the best stomach stuff you ever got. I drink it all the time, and my wife wouldn't touch it. She'd have to be dying. You'd have to pour it down her. But it's bitter, but it works for you. It'll really fix your stomach up. Oh, well, now here's a little something. These around everybody's house, you know what they are. They stick up on these little trees around, little bushes around. What you can do with that is, if you couldn't get your Coca-Cola, you can just make, that's a lemonade. Indian tea is what it's called. I'd rinse it off a little bit and throw a couple of them in the water, and I may cup you a big old glass of water too, a couple of them. Put a little honey or something in there if you want to, and that's what the Indians use for tea. So it'd be pretty good in the summertime or wintertime if you wanted a good old glass of tea and they wasn't a store open nowhere. That would work for you. At least it worked for me. Now, this here, my friends, cost me $25. And it's a refrigerator. And you just plug it. Just say you didn't have no electricity. Just plug that thing in your little cigarette lighter. About 30 minutes, this thing get down high 30s. I done tried it. It's got another switch in the back. You turn it and it'll heat too. It'll cook stuff, you know. But I got it for something cold. If nobody's got any cold stuff, I'm going to have some cold stuff, God willing, and use some water and get you some cold water, or cold Coca-Cola and stick in there. And just don't give it nobody. They wonder where you got your cold drink in the middle of a famine or something. All right. That sort of covers a lot of that there. Flour, cornmeal, stuff like that, you know, they get bugs in it. Well, let me tell you what to do. What I do works for me. Get you a thing of big, maybe 5 pounds, 10 pounds. Stick it in your microwave. Okay? You can cook it, put it in there and just eat. You don't get it too hot and burn it up, but you can put it in there for 50, 60, 70 seconds, something like that, and you sock, or you can do it maybe 40 seconds on each side of the bag, 5-pound bag, and that kills the bugs in it. I take it out and let it dry. I let it, heat dissipate, and put it in my freezer for about 3 days, 2 or 3 days. All right, then you don't have no bugs. But if you do have some bugs, it's all right, eat them. Ain't going to hurt you if ain't no food nowhere. Eat them. They're protein. I mean, you see them on here, shows on TV, eating grasshoppers and worms and stuff. I got a worm bed at my house. Let me tell you what 8 hens and a rooster do for to save your life. I had me a rooster and 8 hens at one time. All right, if you get your rooster and 8 hens will maybe cook you 40 or get you 40, 50 eggs a week. You can buy a lot of stuff, folks. You can buy just old dried food, and you can. I bought some today. They're about I don't know. It was a couple of dollars for a dozen packs, and chicken and different stuff. All you got to do is put your little water in and heat it, and you got you something to eat. Now I got a solar oven. Most of you don't know what that is, and you can find them get on your little thing and eBay and all that and find. It's called a cellular stove, and it's just one about so tall, and it's got a gauge on it, 360 degrees, I believe, oven on it, and you can open it up and put stuff in it just like you do any oven, and it has 4 pieces of aluminum, and they fold out. You set them out in the sun. You don't need no electricity, man. I told Susan, I said, let us just try this thing out, and I want to know before time. So I got me a chicken, got me some rice, put a little water in there, and put my little solar oven out in the open for 2 hours. And we come back, man, that chicken just fell off that thing, just fell off the bone. That grease cooked out of there, and that rice is fluffed up just as yellow and pretty. Tastes good. You can do it in less than 2 hours, probably do it in an hour, but I just sat in there for a couple hours. Went to Brother Baker's here, first seminar he had, me and Susan. Listen, I found stuff at his place, brother, I paid $50 here for, and I got it from him for 50 cents. They just had a seminar. If you want a number to buy one for $89, I talked to them. Yesterday, I believe it was, day before, whenever. They didn't have any there at the plants just on Grant Mountain. Through Gunners go on Grant Mountain. This man makes big tractors and stuff and makes these little stoves, $89. And, I'd rather have something like that. I mean, a cook stove, we're getting that a little bit, but, you got to have a lot of wood. I just put in a 3 or 4 year supply of wood, so I got wood, but, this here is really neat. It probably weighs, I don't know, about 20 pounds or so. And but it'd really be nice to have. If you didn't have no electricity, no gas, no nothing. Let's see. Okay. Coconut oil, we'll take a minute and talk about coconut oil. You need to get you some organic coconut oil, extra virgin. It's called coconut oil, organic extra virgin. And it helps a lot of things. It helps keep them. There was this one lady, she was a doctor, and her husband had Alzheimer's and last stages. And she said the first week she'd tell a difference. When a year he was back on his thing, doing his computer stuff. And not to say it's going to work that for everybody, but Parkinson's disease, all the mind diseases and things like that, the coconut oil. And you don't want to get that stuff at Walmart you cook with. I'm calling this coconut. It's organic, extra virgin. Go to health food store. Go down here. Tell them Brother Jack sent you down here at Apple a Day. He's got it. And you can buy a little thing for 14 or a big one for maybe 28, and that'll last you a couple of months. And I put me a couple big old tablespoons a day in my coffee of a morning and have it, drink it down like that. You take this coconut oil and you just get enough in your mouth, switch it around and leave it in there about 20 minutes. About 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And you spit it out. Now what that does is called all pulling. If you got a book, it's called pulling. All pulling. And what it does is it takes the toxic things out of your stomach, out of your mouth. You got a lot of germs in your mouth and your throat. And what you do after about 20 minutes of it in there, you spit it out. It's this coconut oil, organic, extra virgin. And so you spit it out, then you rinse your mouth out. Now, my son said, well, Daddy, why don't you just put a little salt in your mouth? It'll help cut that. So I do that and made a good idea to me. So I just take me a little salt, shake on my tongue, get me some water, and gargle and spit it out and that gets all the toxicity out. They're supposed to help you live longer. Now, we'll talk about water a minute. All right? You can live 3 or 4 days, that's all, without water. That's it. You're a dead man, and your family's dead. So your water is more important to you by far than your food. You go 40 days without food, 4 days maybe without water. Now, what you're going to do to have water, God told me, you do what you can do, and I do what you know not to do. Well, let me tell you what, God is not going to send an angel to flush your toilet. I don't care who you are. I don't care what position you got in the church. It ain't going to happen. God said to do this, you do something. I said, all right, God, I got my drums out, the plastic drums. It gets raining, you just go out and walk around your house and see where the most water comes off. Put you some drums around there. If water goes, I got several hundred gallons of water. So I go to Walmart, go to the bakery in there. And they'll sell you 5-gallon little drums for $1. Just $1. Got a good tight lid on it, and the only thing in there, you get at the bakery department now where the cookies are, and the only thing they keep in there is they got frosting that goes on the cakes. So you might they clean it out, but you might wipe it out some, and you can put stuff in there and store it, anything, and put the lid on, because rats will get into stuff if you don't. You can't just put stuff in an old box and throw it out there and expect it to be all right next year. So, that don't happen. But you can put water in there. Let's say you spend $100. Spend $100. You bought 100 of them. Well, you got hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water in your house. I know about this stuff. I've been doing this for years and years and years. Before they was preppers, I knew how to do this stuff. I've been studying it for a long time. And I learned that I'm not near as smart as I'd like to be. It's just like, when I went to medical school for 2 years, I found out you don't want me to be your doctor. But I can do something. I know some things. So you got to spend time educating yourself and learning something. It just don't jump out at you. But them little containers you can stick in your house. One day I was in the house, man, the water went off. I said, my gosh, what am I going to do? I had all this water around. So I got in my car. I said, they working on my thing down the road there a little bit. So they... sure enough, that's what it was. Boy, I felt really good about it. I had water in a few minutes. But if I didn't, I still had water. Whatever you use today, you'll use tomorrow. Let me tell you something. It's better to be prepared and be wrong than to be wrong and not prepared. I've always thought that. If you don't need it, whatever you need today, you'll need tomorrow. EMP thing goes off, or sun flares goes off, you don't have no electricity, you're going to walk home. If you're a mile from the house or 10 miles, you're going to walk home. There ain't nothing going to run, but anything in your 70s and back, they'll run because they're a different system. But you don't want to be running the roads anyhow, because if you're the only person out there running the roads, somebody's going to stop you, maybe shoot you or something. They won't know what are you doing out, and nobody else get on the road. So there's a time God said that no man can work. Probably before that happens, we'll have time for a revival. The prophets are all saying the same thing. I listen to them every night, and they all say the same thing, that probably, not for sure, that they kind of saying for sure, but I'm going to wait and see. But since they're all saying the same thing, they said between September the 13th is when Jubilee starts. And I was going to tithe some in tonight with us and with Israel and things like that, to show that some of not everything, we don't have all the 613 laws to go by, but we're dealing with America. And I've got about a half an hour program on Israel and Bible and American. Just to give you one example. Okay. It's in Daniel 4:7. Daniel 4:7. And now, what that is, when you get and read that's Daniel. He had this vision, okay? And he saw a lion. Well, the lion is England. You go to England, the lions are everywhere. He said on this lion was an eagle. Now, there's other nations, there's other people. Germany had an eagle, but they're gone. Rome had an eagle, they're gone. America's got an eagle, and we're still around. Okay? But what I was going to say is that when you read Daniel 7:4, and that's where it talks about it, it says that this lion, which is England, said it had wings on it, and said it flew off. Well, that was America. I got too many scriptures that says it is. I know a lot of people are skeptical, but you go back to July the 4th. That's the 7th month and 4th day. The scripture's in Daniel 7:4. Same thing. I tell you one thing. When you say God said something, you're going to be okay if God said it. But if you didn't, put it another way. I believe, or it might come to pass, or whatever. So I try to be careful about things like that. Dried foods, canned goods, and things like that are good for years and years. Don't care what to tell you. I'm brought some preppers, and they have canned goods been put up for years. One brother told me the other day, he said that these MR meals and things like that military stuff, he said he's ate them 14 years old. So, not saying that all of them will last that long, but you can put up food, you can put up dried stuff, all kinds of stuff. Water. Well, you got to be darn sure about your water. You can probably put a couple of tablespoons, or even a little less than that, in a gallon of water. Wait about 30 minutes and drink it. Be all right. You have to boil your water for 2 minutes. Don't care what they tell you. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, everything's dead. You let it cool it. You can drink your water. Now, you can go to Walmart. I have a lot of filters. Matter of fact, I come back with Brother Baker's one time, and man, we just had sacks of water filters, and nobody wanted them, so I just put them up in boxes, put them away, and I don't know where they're at, but they're somewhere, but they're not for sale anymore. But you can go to Walmart's. Walmart's have got some filters. I was down there the other day, and I bought a couple of them, and I don't believe what it said, but it said it's good for 100,000 gallons. And you go down about $25, and you don't want to get messed up with water. That'd kill you. You get charcoal, but it's got to be a medical charcoal. You can get online, charcoal, punch it. Charcoal. If you're getting sick and you're deathly sick, you take this charcoal, and I have some. You just put it in water, maybe a couple of tablespoons, a little half full glass of water. Stir it up and drink it. That's what they do for you at the hospital. If you go to the hospital, they'll give you charcoal to keep you if you're deathly sick, and this could save your life if you own some charcoal. And that's just like wood, is what it is. That's all it is. Actually, it's just wood. It's but it's they do it, and it's medically done, and that's what you'd want to do. I know a man that has a prophetic ministry, and the Lord told him, he said it's going to be hot and cold. He said this summer going to be hot. He says winter going to be cold. And I believe that. I really do. They're talking about this El Nino thing. It's a super El Nino, and said it's going to get bad cold. Well, I got electricity, and if it goes off, I got me some gas out there. We got something. They didn't even, I don't think they even charge us nothing. I don't care if you don't have gas, you get your gas stove. they put them in a 250-gallon tank, and they run it in your house, and they said, hey, you're this year's customer, said we're going to give you a discount, and sell $1.77, it's like $1.50 something a gallon. So I got gas for a couple of years, but I went and got me a wood stove, just a little small one. We go to a lot of these mountain festivals and things like that where they have the bluegrass and all that. And I seen one there one day, and I bought it for $80. Come home and paint it, and it looks like a new one. And we had it a couple of years now. But they'll probably cost you maybe $250, you know. But you got to put your piping in. Well, I found a man. I said, God, I need some help. So he sent me some help, and I got this goofy fella, and he comes to my house and brings me wood for $40 a load. When you get an answer to the telephone, which is not real often, but he gives me a full-size pickup, $40 a load. I got enough wood for 3 years. I can put a pile of wood about that tall almost to the back of the church. So I'm not worried about it. I got electricity, I got gas, and I got wood. If I live, I'm all right. If I don't live, it's okay anyhow because I won't need it, see. But I'd like to be here for a while. Okay. You need to get you a little bit of garden. I got a place that's terrible. So in a few days, I'm going to get me somebody with a truck, come in, bring me in a load of dirt, and get them to spread it out. What you want to do is have you a little garden, and here's what you want to do. You don't want to put nothing in there that don't multiply a lot. Forget a radish or something like that. Put you some squash in there. A little squash seed, man, you'll get dozens of them. Tomatoes, one tomato seed, will get you a lot of tomatoes. One little ear of corn, will get you 1,400 little ears of kernels of corn. So you put, last winter, about halfway in the winter, I got me a bunch of seeds. I got a lot of these seeds that reproduce themselves. And I started growing them and stuff, so when springtime come, I had stuff up like that. And so we've had, corn, and we've had tomatoes and all that stuff, squash. But I'm going to get me some dirt hauled in, some topsoil, get somebody to do that, and that will that'll help you have a lot of stuff that you wouldn't have otherwise. If you're not spiritually right with God, it don't matter just to forget about all this, because you're going to take the mark and go to hell anyhow. You see, because you got to be spiritually right. And I look in James a lot, and I tell you, now I might be wrong, but I tell you what I believe. I believe what the Bible says. The Bible said, if you're going to have works to go with your faith, the devil believes and he's going to hell. Exactly where he's going. And all those that follow him. So you can do something. You can be a prayer warrior. There's something that you can do. If all you're going to do is just do nothing. I mean, you got to put works. You got to have some works. You got to do something somewhere down the line, because if you don't, it's real simple. Jesus said that there was 10 virgins, and so he said half the church was lost. The 10 virgins, all of them went to church. They all thought they were saved. They thought they was going to heaven. Half the church was lost. They said, well, we done all this stuff. He said, well, I never knew you to start with. And he closed the door, buddy, it's closed. Just like when they closed the door on Noah's Ark. They told Noah, for 120 years, he preached to people and told them the truth, and nobody believed. And that's what the same way it is here. I'm talking to you, and I guarantee you I could come back in a month and ask you to raise your hands. Who got prepared? Man, I'd faint if there was 2 of you out there. I'm telling you the truth. You wait and see. I ain't going to ask you, but I've done this for a long time. And I've reached out to thousands of people on the radio. I was going to tell you about that too right quick before I go on the rest of this. So I got on this radio station and up in New York, and we covered 3 states, all over 1 million people, 1 million plus, which don't mean you got that many people on there, but you got hundreds or you got thousands, listening in. And so I thought, well, this is the only one I'm going to have. I had a hard time doing that, and I didn't really like it when I done it. I mean, I'm not a good speaker, I have a hard time. I used to have a real hard time because I could take a 30-minute message and destroy it in 5 minutes. And I got to stay on what I'm doing. Okay, I got this one CD done. It's called Trouble in the Land. Well, they let me do these broadcasts from my house, and they take my CDs and everything, so I got some more. And these have been going out to thousands of people. It's called America Has Forgotten God. Satan has fallen. The days we're living in, when shall Jesus come? Is America in the Bible? God is always in charge, I promise you. There's great trouble on the earth. What to do in times of trouble, that's some of what I'm teaching here. Things that may happen soon. So all these came from this just little one. So I don't know where it's going. It might not get very much further, but I'm trying. We just do our best. God said, you do what you can do, and I'll do what you know not to do. In other words, God sees around the corners. He'll take care of it for you. You put out your water barrel and said, God, send the rain. God will send the rain. But if you don't do nothing, you ain't got nothing. I mean, I got a friend, me and my wife go over there. He lives out Tennessee River, this side of Huntsville. And I go out there 3 or 4 times a year, and we go out and eat and everything. And he pays one time, and I pay another time. We've been friends for a while, 40-something years. And I've told him about this for years. And he sort of makes fun of me. He says, I just don't think about it. Well, they didn't think about it in Noah's day, and they all died. All but Noah and the other 7. They got saved because of Noah. It was Brother Noah that believed God. And so the rest of them believed God because they believed Brother Noah. Now, then sometime I asked him the other day, it was over not long ago, and he just smiled, about half smiled at me and said, I ain't prepared. Well, wait till this year's out. He ain't getting my stuff. I got 500-600 rolls of toilet paper. You ain't getting none of it. Sister Baker, she said, I got plenty of toilet paper. And she said, you ain't getting none of it. She said, it's mine. My food is going to be mine. Now, if you got a wife, I mean, she's the same as you. You're one. You take care of your wife. But if times of trouble, if times come, you know what would happen if they cut off the water and stuff in a big city, a major city, where the gangs would take over? Right away, they'd take over. They'd kill. The police might as well stay home. They'll run from them. There's thousands and thousands of gang members, and they'll shoot the police. They'll own everything. They'll own what food's there, or what. I mean, you know, if you're in a big city, I'd say get out of it. Get out in the country as best you can, because it's coming. It's coming one day. I don't know when. God didn't knock on the door and tell me what day, but I believe it's coming probably this year, because most of the prophets say that it is. It was a brother, and I get on these rabbit trails. I'm a big rabbit trail person. As long as it goes somewhere, it's all right. But anyhow, this brother, he worked for TBN, and God told him, said, go down in the Caribbean. I'm going to show you something. He said, I didn't know where it was going. He walked down the Caribbean, kept going, and he found this big radio station down there, covered the whole Caribbean, but it was just sitting there, and nobody was using it. He found out his old boss that owned TBN owned it, and he just gave it to him. And now he's got the biggest ministry. He's got a lot of people under him. It's real notable people. He told brother, he said, the Lord told me, and down in Texas, years ago, back in the 90s, he said, one day, brother, you're going to be on national television. He said, Brother Baker, this is the first time I've been on anybody else be on national TV since the Lord told me. And Brother Baker's mouth just, man, fella. Brother Baker, he's a little fella. You just don't know. I mean, he's a little fella. He's about, he might be 5'4". And but anyhow, there's a lot of people the Lord has showed things to, and said that this is the time. And they all said this is the time. And so I believe that, I want to tell this in here right quick. And there was a man. He said falling off of a building won't kill you. He said it's when you hit the bottom. He said that's when it'll kill you. He said America's been on a free fall in sin for years and years and years, and it has. The Word of God, God said that He hated those that would kill innocent people. They killing their babies, maybe 65, 70 million. And I could go on, took prayer out of school and everything. And He said that God told him, God didn't tell me, God told him, he said, the other day, when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of homosexuals, he said, God spoke to him and said, today I have divorced America. It makes sense to me. It might not make no sense to you at all. I'm not saying God said, I'm just saying he said that, but it makes sense to me. That's the reason I say I think we're getting pretty close. Something's going to happen. And time is shorter than you think. Inflation, now, if I was you, when I left here tonight, I'd take a beeline right straight to Walmart's. Let me tell you, you can go in there and get a 20-pound bag of rice for $7, $8. I saw 25 pounds of a flour today for $25. You can buy all this dried stuff. I mean, that's not a lot of money. It's a lot if you don't have it. You're 8 years behind. You're 8 years behind. Every one of you here is 8 years behind. I don't have time to explain that to you why, but you're 8 years behind in putting up stuff. You may have, I don't know, you may have a few weeks or 2 or 3 months, but you're running behind. You're 8 years behind. If you don't do something, nobody's going to do it for you. You got to be the one to do it. I'd go get me some stuff on the way home and take it home. I'd start today if it was me. I find that people don't, though. You talk to them and they hears and they're not doers, and they're just going to go on and do nothing. And when time comes, you'll say, I remember old Brother Jack. I remember those people on TV that said that, and I ain't got nothing. You know what God said? He said there's Christians that some of them are going to have more stripes than others. More stripes. Now that means to me, if you do what God said, you're not going to have that. You're going to have a hard time. But if you don't put up and do nothing when trouble comes, you're going to have a lot harder time than your neighbor over to put up a bunch of stuff to eat. Got him a little wood stove. You know, if you didn't have nothing, you got you some flour and you got you some water, and put your little switch in there and just put your pan there and just put your little piece of bread. I bought today some at Walmart's. I bought a couple these little old things of a dried, dehydrated butter. And I thought, well, my Lord, if I just got me some water and some of that self-rising flour, put on there and cooked it, and you can take a little water down there and put that butter in there and put it on there and let it cook, have you some fried bread and make you a pancake. I went and bought honey. I bought a bunch of it the other day. It's really expensive. It cost me $14 a quart. You want to get honey that has not been processed. You have to go to a health food store. Stores are not going to have it. That is an antibiotic. You can pour that on a cut, and it'll just like alcohol, it'll kill germs in there. But you have to get the type that's hadn't been cooked. But it's an antibiotic, so you keep some. I've got some for an antibiotic. I've got a lot of stuff. I got some to eat, and I eat it along because I love good honey. But I got some the other day, and orange blossoms out of Florida. Got some of that. And then my family come from Okanokie Swamp in Georgia, and so the man had some honey from the Okanokie Swamp. I got me some Okanokie Swamp honey. It's all good. And so I can get me a little bit of flour and stir it up and put it on there and have me a pancake when there ain't no pancakes. If we have a major problem in America, we didn't talk about these things tonight. The San Andreas fault, California drop off, the Madrid fault through Mississippi. It happened in 1811, I think, and the river was 100 miles wide. They say it's ready to happen again. We talked and see it now on TV. Canary Islands, there's 5 of them, and one of them's been exploding for several years. When it hits the deep blue sea, they said the tidal waves coming to America 100, 200 feet tall and take out everything on the East Coast. But if we have one major problem, just one, that's all we need is just one of them. Our president will declare martial law. I promise you he will. Martial law means this. It means the Supreme Court don't have nothing to say about nothing. Congress, Senate, they don't have nothing to say about nothing. No, it don't seem. But And I used to think they had some power. I don't think so. But in martial law, the only man in the world or in America that has anything to say about anything is your president, and he'll tell you what you'll do, and he'll tell you when you do, and if you don't, they put you in jail. So if something major happens, which I look for something major to happen, he could, not saying he will, I don't know what he would. God didn't tell me. But if something major happened, you'll have martial law. And martial law means that President Obama is the only man that will have a word to say about anything. If he catch you doing something you don't supposed to do, you'll probably wind up in prison somewhere or shot or whatever. But he has it'll be martial law. Now, what does martial law do for us? Well, when countries start having major problems, they want to come together, and the Bible talks about it, about the 10 nations, and there'll be others that'll come together. So if President Obama, he'd sell us out in a second. And I don't get started on him, buddy, because I could tell you a bunch of stuff. But nevertheless, he'd sell us out in a second. He'll put us right in them United Nations bunch. You know who runs that in the United Nations? The Antichrist. Jesus said, I won't get in this deep, but Jesus said, in Matthew 24, 29, 31, he said, I'm coming back immediately after the tribulation. And Hebrew and Greek says following. But something's going to happen, and you better be ready. I'll close with this. Turkey. Now, this is something that really happened, because I know it. It's on television and everything. It wasn't like somebody just thought, it might be. Turkey made a statement just recently, within the past few weeks. They said, we're getting up a coalition of Muslim nations, and said, we're going to lead them against Israel, said we're going to destroy Israel. If anybody reads their Bible, my God, people don't even study Revelations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Joel, and different things. But the Bible says this is going to happen, so I can say, well, it's going to happen because God said it would. But Turkey and them, and sooner or later Russia's going to be involved. But when a nation says we're going to get the rest of Muslims, we're going down there and we're going to wipe out Israel, they're going to some things. There's a Psalms 83 war, and there's some things coming up. This one man said he took over Brother Baker's place out in east, everywhere it was there when he lost all that, and because y'all probably heard the same thing. He said that he had a worst vision he ever had in his life. He said he saw people come across the border. He's a godly man, has a major church, and he's a real godly man. And he's done, God's used him greatly. And he said that people come across the border, said they already got it planned, said they're worse than ISIS, said they've already got it planned, said all of a sudden, he said one day in the near future, he said they're going to come across there. He said they're going to go to schools and say they're going to kill hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children and people. Now, that'd really shake up America if that happens. I mean, it could happen. I mean, they're capable of doing that. Don't tell me they're not. Don't tell me people are not in trouble. The thousands of them, they cut their heads off over in the Middle East. But he said it's coming to America. God said, I'll start the house of God. I believe he's going to start with America. I hope that I gave you some information, about these things. You need to get you some books on herbs and edible herbs and plants, and these different books that I got on these oils and things like that. You can get that for $2.50 and put that up, I go out in the woods, and I don't know how I ever done it. When I was a kid, probably didn't. But rabbit tobacco, I got a bunch of hunting rabbit tobacco. Now, if you have sinus troubles, but I got me a corncob pipe, and I'll sit on my front porch and I get me some rabbit tobacco because I got some sinus problem. And I don't do this often, once in a while. And you don't inhale it. Now, if you got pneumonia or something, you inhale it, and if it don't kill you, it'll help you get well. But you can take the rabbit tobacco and put it in a pot and ball it, get you a towel and put it over you, and you stand about like that, just where it won't hurt your lungs when you breathe, and use that rabbit tobacco. It goes in your system and goes in your lungs, and it'll help you with pneumonias and flus and things like that. But you can take that kind of corncob pipe and you can put it in your mouth and just blow it through your nose, and it's supposed to help sinus trouble. It'll help it for a little while. It didn't cure mine, so I can tell you a lot of stuff. I mean, I've been doing herbs for 25, 30 years, and I realize that most of it I don't know, and I won't ever know. But you need to make yourself knowledgeable of something. Like I said, you're 8 years behind. You should have been putting up stuff 8 years ago and getting ready, and nobody warned you. Just a few people, and it's overdue now. You may have a few weeks, few months. I don't know. God didn't tell me that, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised before this year is over, something happens, and they may bring in martial law. I don't know, but we need to be aware of these things. Get prepared. Do the best you can. Put you some drums around your house. When the water's cut off, you got water. These little tubes you get, little bottle, these things you get at Walmart is a cap like, and you screw it on to like one of them Coke things, like the, I don't know, call it a liter or something. And you put your water and you can drink it, and it'll purify everything 99.99. I could go into a lot of stuff like that, and pH water and stuff like that. pH water, I bought one from Brother Baker, and instead of buying two, I just bought one that had a filter and bought two more filters. The doctors say that that diseases cannot live in a high pH. It looks like it'd be, when you get down in the low 4 and 5 and 3, with cold drink, stuff like that, they're acidic, and you can be sick. But we got some pictures and we drank it, and I get water at Walmart. I get my water for 37 cents, and I got 3 and 5 gallon things, and you can buy them cheap at some of these old stores sometime, but it costs you a good bit down there at Walmart. But I'd go to the baker and buy 5 gallons for $1. Man, it's got a tight lid. You can seal food in there and water in there and stuff like that. And they used to have meetings, brother. Nobody was no hurry to go home. I believe it'd be that way again. That people be sitting around here 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, finding out what God's doing. Some man or some woman will have a word and the Holy Spirit. I believe there'll be a revival, and it may be a short revival. Don't know. Lord didn't tell me. But I believe it'll be a short revival. And so we're talking about preparing for 3.5 years. So I talked to people around here at church. 2 men told me here, said, well, I got a 2-week supply of food. And one man said, well, I'm just going to wait on God. Well, you can wait on God all you want to.